Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm just going to do a quick video on Unifor and trade policies just to overlay the statements that Jim Stanford's made on the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement to kind of put some facts and substance behind his statements. So let's talk about the Trans-Pacific Trade Deal. Basically, it allows Canada to have access to an 800 million consumer market with GDP about 40% of the world. This means now goods that are produced in this country, whether they're lumber, aerospace, machinery, will have better access to a market that they're basically almost pulled back or have restrictions on it. We're removing that restriction. That being said, it supports a certain amount of businesses that are going to help expand to those markets because Canada's only so big, it needs exports to drive it. And that's what this is about. Let's talk about Jim Stanford. He's the uniform economist. He actually met about a year or so ago when they were talking about the Korea trade deal to put his spin about job losses in the 10,000 range. But he also was strange with his statements, and I'll tell you why he was strange a bit with his statements, because he does support exports. He supports exports if they benefit his sector, automotive only. He has never really talked about other aspects that benefit it, whether it's aerospace, whether it's forestry, or whether it's mining. It's interesting that automotive gets all the attention for Unifor, but look at who else they support: forestry, energy, smelting, and construction, and fisheries. Well, let's look at energy, forestry, and mining. Those are key areas. Those are key areas in Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, Alberta. They also are key drivers in terms of our exports. GDP in terms of our growth of exports is very critical of natural resources. So if you're giving more access to natural resources to countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, isn't that not going to help expand exports and reduce that trade imbalance down? Yes, it will. So why is he talking about that? Because he's trying to put the spin it's only about automotive. Let's talk about automotive production now to line up to what Unifor says. Automotive production will never be the way it was in this country. Why? Because globalization, competitive pressures, just the whole all things how the market's evolved. Canada still has a place in this spot, but it has to be cost competitive. And a lot of those costs are not driven by federal policy. They're driven by provincial. So if you've got input costs like hydro rates that are growing at 30-40%, that's not Harper. That has to do with Kathleen Wynne setting the wrong priorities in terms of hiking hydro rates. You also have Miss Wynne bringing in cap and trade, which gets passed along to the cost position for companies. You also have Alberta's premier that wants to hike areas like fuel, like corporate taxes in Alberta, which pushes the cost of oil up. So if you're going to look at policies, you need to look at policies that make sense to keep you competitive. And that's not what you're seeing happen anymore. But there's no discussion from Unifor on those policies. Let's talk about what comments just major players in the sector did. Chrysler called out Kathleen Wynne for hydro rates. Nothing said by Unifor. Toyota has made an investment. They've made a commitment here with the help of the Ontario government as well as Stephen Harper. So the reason I spin that is they've asked for some capital money to help expand their operations in terms of capital equipment. Magnum Automotive is quite clear. They will not build any new plants in Ontario due to the policies here, whether that's ORPP or hydro. Let's look at Canada's tax position. Harper's done a great job at tax because that's where he has the most control of corporate and payroll taxes. And look at where we're ranked. We're ranked number 1 on this particular list. And look at where Mexico is. They're down the list. Let's talk about labor. Well, we already know Mexico's got a labor position on us. But it's not just about labor. And that's as much as what the union says. It's a whole cost structure. Let's talk about hydro rates, which come into play. Look at where Canada is. As close as a decade ago, Ontario had some of the most competitive hydro rates in North America. That also helped feed us in terms of keeping our costs down. We've lost that. Why? Because Kathleen decided that we should be doing more green energy and decided that to expand more in areas that pushed up the cost of hydro, which makes our industries less competitive. This is just giving you a little bit of overall competitiveness in Canada by different factors to kind of give you an idea of where the policies come into play. So, in general, if you're going to listen to Unifor, you should be asking them, why are they only focused on automotive? Why are they not promoting their other union or constituents they support? It seems to me that Jim Stanford's clear position always has been is about anti-Harper. He's anti-Harper all the time. Thank you.